Well, Marcel, obviously the biggest issue on defense the other day, losing track of guys in that scramble situation. I know you work on it, but what did you see there, and how do you kind of get that fixed going forward?
The first one was actually just him. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he made a play. We were in cover 2. It broke down a little bit with him being out of the pocket. Obviously, right, we got to, up front, right, we got to keep him in the pocket. And then just from kind of guys kind of floating around, he was the number 2 receiver on the backside and kind of leaked, across the field. And he ended up being open. So that was just bad luck. And then we have to also we need to do a drill. Or that right there, a scramble drill.
How tough is that to cover, especially for, as far downfield as a couple of those plays extended? I think you find time for 5-6 seconds in terms of kind of rolling around back there.
Right.
How hard is it to cover for that long, especially for that far downfield, I guess?
It is what it is. There's 2 things, right? You up front, right? We have, up front we have to keep him contained up front, and then we have to, especially when it's zone, because you're containing the zone, and then when it's scramble drill, it turns into man-to-man, so it's kind of hard sometimes when you're within the zone to figure out, okay, which one do I take a little bit. So, like I said, it's kind of hard in zone, but, it's 2 sides to it, right? We got to keep him contained, and then we got to find our man in our zone.
I know that obviously that scrambling is a part of the game, but if you take away, I think it was three or four throws, that counted for 75% of their passing yards. Straight up outside of that, it seemed like everything was pretty good, though.
Everything was pretty good besides that. But that's all they needed. If you say, okay, well, if you play 80 snaps and you play, 75 of those snaps good, but they make 5 plays, then, to my math, 5 times 7 is points. So,
yeah, I guess also just talking about your quarterbacks specifically, maybe a storyline going in was the size that BYU had for the 2nd straight year.
Right.
That size.
I don't think the size made a difference. I think the scrambling, us letting him get out of the pocket, and it's funny because when you have those type of games, you can't point fingers. You always think about, okay, if I had this call back, I would have made this call. I would have made this call. So, but I didn't think the size was a big deal in this game.
Speaking of calls, on the 4th and 7, when they got the game-winning touchdown there, I think Dante said you guys were in man.
And that goes back to earlier with the scrambles. I wanted to kind of bring some heat on him, but play more man-to-man. So if he did scramble, we had guys actually on guys instead of playing more zone. So, it was man-free. We brought 5 guys. It was man-free. We didn't get there. He stepped up that time. And, we had a post player. And from what had gone on before, whenever he kind of went to his right, he threw the ball to his right. So we kind of overplayed to our left, and then he throws the ball back. So, he made a play.
Were you thinking, I think they were down 3 at that point, and it was only 4th and 7. Were you thinking they might just try to get the first down, or were you thinking that there was a chance they were going to go deep, or were you kind of?
I was thinking both. That's why I wanted to play man and still have somebody in the post. So if they did go deep or if he did scramble, we had somebody on the guy. After the game, ever since the game's been over, I've been thinking about I should have brought somebody in his face. I should have brought more. I should have brought pressure. I should have dropped 8. You can always go back and think about what if, but,
And then it seemed like the ball was kind of hanging in the air for a while. What did you see kind of as the guys were kind of going for it there towards the end?
Like I said, I thought everybody with the flow going to our left, his right, everybody was overplaying to our left, and then he threw it kind of backside to our right. So, he made a play.
He faced a lot of good quarterbacks, but his arm strength is he kind of a unique guy?
He's a unique guy. He's a good quarterback. I'm not going to take anything. I done heard people say he's lucky. The guy made plays. He made plays 2 weeks in a row. His attitude, I think, and how he plays the game. He's a competitor. And he finished it. we have to kind of look at how we're playing those situations as far as how to keep him in the pocket.
He's given some secrets to his brother. I think he's a go-to receiver for Idaho State. Think of that family yet?
Oh, he's a go-to. He's a good player too, and I'm sure they've talked, and he probably told him, how to have some how to make some plays on us. So he's pretty good though.
You mentioned second guessing and always kind of thinking if you could do something differently. Is that just life as a D coordinator or life as a coach? I mean, what is that like? I know the players ultimately are on the field making the plays, but I mean, it's just what's that like when you're always trying to think if you could have done something differently, and it's just the way it goes, I guess?
That's just the way it goes. Even if you win, I mean, you're gonna always look at whatever success the offense had or whatever success the other side of the ball had against you. You're gonna always look at what you could have done better. I would say this. I thought, the key drive to the game where things, changed was in the third quarter when we had them. It was about 6 minutes to go. We had them in 3rd and 19, and we had them backed up on the 8-yard line, and we had a coverage was blown, and it was a guy wide open. I thought the game changed at that point for us. Number one, for field position. I thought if we could have somehow held them there to punt the ball, our offense would have had the ball in, at midfield, really, and it would have helped out our offense as far as their field position. To me, this game was a game of field position. So the offenses that seem to have the ball, it's just a rule. I mean, the shorter the field is for the offense, all right, the percentage of them scoring is higher, whereas far as if they're backed up, right, is lower. So
speaking of rules, and I know it just seems like a weird rule, but JT makes that play and loses his helmet. How hard is that, I guess, I know that's the rule, but just to have a guy make a big play like that and then get 15 yards tacked on because his helmet came off?
Well, it's tough because his helmet was knocked off by the other team. I mean, I'm just being honest. So, I mean, if it was...
Is that supposed to be... How does that work then? Is he supposed to be able to finish it?
I don't know how that works. I mean, I was just, I'm focused on... I really don't get caught up in when there's penalties and stuff like that. I let Coach Hart's kind of handle that. My thinking is more about on to the next play. So I don't really get, I'm not up in the box screaming and hollering or all that. I'm kind of going on to the next play.
That was a great play, though. Yeah,
it was a big play. It was a big play, right? Because I would have put him in 3rd down, 3rd and goal, like from the 8 or something like that. So yeah, that would have, if it would have held up and we could have held him to a field goal somehow, some way, then right, it would have changed the outcome of the game. But they called it, so.
Dylan was joking with us the other day and said, don't get mad if I drop a pick, I can't catch. And then the ball just seemed to keep finding him the other night. I think he missed one, he caught one out of bounds, and obviously he was right there on the last play. How is he as a pass defender, and what did you learn in that game?
The one thing I told him is stop joking and saying that you can't catch and you're not good, because you'll end up not being good at it. So, we'll do some drills to try to help him out. He had an interception that he dropped that I thought was a big play, could have helped us out. But, he can catch the ball. He can catch the ball.
You want your defense to play with a swagger, a little edge or chip kind of. I know Moxie got called for that penalty for kind of talking to the ref and stuff. I mean, I know in a game like that it's emotional, it's back and forth, but how do you kind of keep it in the middle there where you want guys to play with an edge, but you also want them to be smart?
Well, just do your job. Don't talk to the officials. Don't talk to the other team. I mean, let our play do the talking. That's the one thing that it'll start from Coach Hart is we need to focus on what we do. Do your job. You can't control calls out there, so don't. Just play ball. I think we're doing too much talking and doing all that, and just play ball. So it'll be addressed.
I'm impressed having been with Moxie. Outside of that being a personal foul, I got picked up.
Besides that, he's been playing well. Exactly. And so that's my point to him is just, just be quiet, man. Just play the game. Just be quiet, play the game. Especially at that position. At some point, as a corner, you're going to run up to a receiver that's pretty good, and hey, he might beat you. So hey, just keep competing. To me, I'm a guy that let your play do the talking for you. So he'll be better for it though. He'll learn.
The rush defense. The first game you held Washington 29 yards. Second game, They had -14 in the first half, I think, and then there when you really needed to make a couple key stops against the run, they had that touchdown, and I think the fourth quarter they were able to run the ball a little bit. It was
right.
disappointing, I guess, that it had been going so well, and then right when you needed to make a couple key stops, you just couldn't.
See, and that the first rushing touchdown, once again, that goes back to that key drive that I was talking about in the third quarter. I think we're up 10 points in the third quarter with like 6 minutes to go. We have them in 3rd and 19. They hit the pass, all right, the big pass, right? We tackle them. We come back. They tried double move, right? We get the penalty. Then we come back. They run the ball. I think we stop them. But they had a holding, right? So we have them in 2nd and long. And then we missed tackles, and Moxie was actually out of the game on that play because of the penalty. So not only did he hurt us, but he also hurt the team. He hurt everybody by not being in the game. And then we had 2 missed tackles on that once again, and that was 2nd and long. So that drive to me was key because to me that drive gave them life, and they hadn't had anything since that first drive, the big play.
What was kind of the philosophy there with you guys? Because I think that was the second play that Moxie was out of the game for. When a guy commits a foul like that, do you sit him for a drive or a series? Or
that's up to Coach Harsin, and he felt like he needed to come out of the game, and I get that. If a guy's been a hothead and he's hurting the team, then I'm gonna back him. Once again, like I said, I was looking at the call, because it kind of happened aftermath. I'm looking at my call sheet. I'm getting ready for my next call, and then I hear everybody going, "That wasn't very smart." And I go, "Huh?" And they go, "It's a penalty." So I'm like, I'm moving on to the next play. Like I said, I don't have time to, get all mad and pissed off, now. And, I was, but, it was tough. That was a tough drive for us.
Was Horton out of position on the touchdown run?
He actually fell down. He slipped.
Oh, he fell down.
Yeah, he fell down.
Going to Idaho State this week, obviously their reputation is throw it all over the field. And
right.
I think you've worked for Kramer in the past.
Mike Kramer gave me my first job. Yeah.
So what kind of challenge are you expecting for you this week?
It'll be, they're good. They're world coach. They have two good running backs, and they'll use Sanders and Tanner as their QBs. So, they're good. It's a good team we're facing.
Sometimes those most dangerous teams that come in here with nothing to lose, they win. That's the biggest win in the program's history.
Boise State, everybody's dangerous to us, and because everybody wants to beat us, So to me, is every week is that way for me. So I don't care if it's Idaho State, if it's BYU, if it's Oregon, each week is big now.
Is Mike Kramer where you got your gift of the press conference from? He always gives us some good answers.
Kramer, the big human we used to call him. I don't know if they still call him the big human, but he's a big man. He always has that big old smile. But he's a good coach. He's smart. He might have the most wins in the Big Sky out of any coach, I think, in the history. He's been at Eastern, Montana State, and now Idaho State. So he knows how to win.
What do you think of Mercy's 2 more guys on Saturday?
Mercy, he played well. He played well. He injured himself just a little bit. He came back in though, but he hurt his back. But he's back. He came back in, but he played well. He made some plays.
With Dante Dion, on that first interception, it looked like athleticism. On the second interception, he just kind of sat and baited the quarterback a little bit there.
Right.
How balanced is he? Obviously, as a playmaker. Kind of the total package, kind of in those 2 plays right there.
Right. He's playing well right now. He's a guy that we need. He makes plays for us. And it seems like he makes the plays at the right time. So he needs to continue that. Our goal each game is, and we haven't reached our goal yet this season. Our goal every game is to have 3. We want to cause 3, right? And we had 2. And then we only had 1 against our first game. So we need to have more picks, you know, and we're not hitting our goal yet as a defense.
Thanks, Marcel.
Thank you.